Yo, what's going on? Camilo here. In this video, we're going to be doing a guide for Lynette. Alright, so starting off with her talents, we're going to explain them very quick. There's not really much to explain. She's pretty simple to play. But yeah, her auto attacks are just normal physical auto attacks. If you don't have her C6. If you have her C6, you can turn her auto attacks into anemo auto attacks after using your elemental skill. But if you have her C0 to C5, they're just like normal basic auto attacks, and you probably don't want to use them anyways. Her elemental skill, it's pretty much just a hit. You can just press it and it's gonna deal damage to enemies, or you can hold it and then it's gonna like you can run with Lynette on the field, and then you can mark an enemy, and when your elemental skill finishes, she's gonna TP to that enemy and then hit him. She's gonna TP like Ching's skill. We can just mark an enemy and then she's gonna TP and hit him, and that's it. And finally, her elemental burst, it's also pretty much just damage. It taunts enemies, but other than that, it's just gonna be dealing damage, and it can swirl elements, and you can also deal more damage with that. Like, it can deal elemental damage if it comes to contacts with an element. Her passives are the most important thing. Her supportive passives, that the more different elements you have on your team, the more attack buffs she gives you. It can give you up to 20% if you have 4 unique elements. The second passive is just more elemental burst damage. So yeah. Now for talent priorities, it depends on how you want to play Lynette. Generally speaking, it's either you play her as like a support or an on-field damage dealer. If you're planning to play her as a support, obviously you don't upgrade your elemental burst first, and then your elemental skill. Your auto attacks are not really going to be important at all. And if you're planning to play her as like a main damage dealer, or at least like a primary damage dealer, first of all, you need her C6, because you're going to need to turn her auto attacks into anemo so you can like use them properly. And then second of all, you're going to upgrade your auto attacks first, and then your elemental burst and skill. Or if you're building her with elemental mastery, you don't need to upgrade her like talents at all actually, because you're just going to be like dealing damage with the elemental reactions. So the talents level is not really going to matter that much. Now moving on to her constellations, I'm going to tell you which ones are good and which ones are not really super good. So C1 is just going to put like a grouping thing when your elemental skill hits opponents. You're going to be able to group enemies a little more, which is kind of good. It's not really super good, but you know, it's good. You can group up small enemies a little bit. So yeah, I'd say C1, especially for the cost, is pretty decent. C2 is just going to fire like an extra shot, so it's just more damage pretty much. Wouldn't really say it's super good at all. C3 is just going to increase the level of your elemental burst. I mean, I guess it's good for damage if you care, but other than that, it's not really super good. C4 is going to increase the charges of your elemental skill by 1, so you're going to have 2 charges. That's actually kind of good, especially for energy. So if you can manage to have like good rotations and stuff like that, you might lower your energy requirements, because you're going to be able to do 2 skills. Now, it's not really going to be a big difference. Again, it depends on your team and rotations and stuff like that. If you have like a smaller rotations, you can't really benefit from it that much, but if you have a longer rotation, it's gonna be pretty good. I would say it's a good constellation. It's not really super good or anything like that, but it's decent. C5 is just gonna increase the level of your elemental skill. Definitely not really worth it. And then finally C6, when you use your elemental skill, your auto attacks are gonna be infused with anemo for 6 seconds, and also your anemo damage bonus is gonna increase even more. So that's definitely a very good constellation. It can open up many other like play styles. It's not really necessary for a support Lynette, but if you want to play her as a DPS or kind of an on-field carry or anything like that, it's gonna be kind of necessary. So, you know, on C6, I would say it's gonna be pretty good. It's gonna open up like other play styles. Is it necessary for like the basic Lynette support play style? No, which is just use your elemental burst for support and stuff like that. But for some teams, it's necessary. So, I mean, it depends on how you want to play her. So I don't know if it's worth it or not. Alright, so now moving on to her weapons. Before we continue, please make sure to subscribe to the channel, just to see more videos. A lot of videos are going to be upcoming soon. But yeah, for her weapons, I did a weapons tier list before, where I literally went through every single sword and reviewed it on Lynette. So if you want to check it out in details, then you can. But right now, I'm just going to list like the best options for everything, and that's it. I'm not going to spend too much on this. So first of all, for a general support Lynette, and even for any build, to be honest, I would say just use an energy recharge weapon. So you have the obvious answers, the Favonius, the Sacrificial, even the new sword is going to be pretty good. All of these are going to be decent options, especially the Favonius is going to be super good. And you're also going to be helping out your team with energy, which is very, very good. She's going to need a lot of energy, so I'd definitely prefer you use a energy recharge weapon on her. Now, if you think you have enough energy recharge, then you might use something with, you know, any damage weapon pretty much. So you have all of the 5 stars with crit and like crit damage, crit rate, attack, anything like that. If you're building building her for like anemo damage, then you might go this route. Even with that, I would still think you should use an energy recharge weapon because you're gonna need energy recharge a lot, and you should preferably get it from your weapon. But if you think you have enough depending on the team and stuff like that, then in that case, obviously you can just, use a damage weapon to increase her damage. And then finally, if you're building her with elemental mastery, obviously you just want an elemental mastery weapon. So you can use something like the Siphos or the Sapwood Blade. Even Iron Sting is gonna work. The Tukabu Shigure, any elemental mastery weapon is gonna do the job fine. Siphos is probably gonna be the best option, but if you don't have it, any elemental mastery weapon, obviously it's gonna be pretty good if you're building her for elemental mastery. Now moving on to your artifact sets. Generally speaking, there's only one set you'd want to use on Lynette, which is the 4-piece Viridescent. It's going to increase your anemo damage, which is pretty good, and then it's obviously going to decrease the resistance of anemo to your enemies, and that's very good. It fits pretty well with her supportive role. In most of her teams, it's going to be the best set. You can also go for something like the 4-piece Gilded Dreams. That's going to increase your elemental mastery and also buff the rest of your team. I wouldn't really recommend it. I would say just go 4-piece Viridescent and that's it. And if you're playing her in like a full anemo team and you just want to increase like the anemo damage, in that case you can go with like 2-piece Viridescent and then any 2-piece attack, whether it's Gladiators, Shimenuas, or basically any 2-piece of attack. For artifact stats, usually you just want energy recharge on your sands. Obviously for a full elemental mastery build, you'd want elemental mastery, or even for a full elemental mastery build, sometimes you might want energy recharge on your sands. It depends if you have enough or not. I'm going to tell you how much you need in a little bit. For a goblet, you'd want anemo damage bonus or elemental mastery for a full EM build, and then for the circlet, it's either crit or elemental mastery for a full EM build too. So you just want to make sure you have enough energy recharge, and then depending on what build you want, you should go anemo damage and crit or just elemental mastery. For the substats, again, you just want energy recharge, and then attack, crit rate, crit damage, elemental mastery even. For an elemental mastery build, obviously you just want to focus on elemental mastery more. Other builds, you just want to get as much attack, crit, and stuff like that as possible. Now for how much energy recharge you're gonna need, usually you'd want it to sit around like 200 to 220. I would say minimum is 200 for most teams, generally speaking, and to be more comfortable you can go up to like 220 and you're gonna be good. Again, that's for most teams. If you have like a good like energy team with someone else using the Favonius or something like that, in that case you can go down to like 170, 160 or something like that. But generally speaking, for a general Lynette, 200% energy recharge to 220 is going to be like what you want to aim for. So I wouldn't really recommend going less than 200%. And now finally for team comps, generally speaking, she's just like an anemo who's using the Viridescent, so you can use her on any team who needs an anemo. Now she can't group up enemies and stuff like that, so she's probably going to be worse than other anemos, especially if you have like Kazuha or Sucrose who can give you elemental mastery and stuff like that. But Lynette can also give you attack, so she's she's decent. So if you don't have any other anemos, she's going to be pretty good. Now keep in mind she also prefers teams with different elements. Now a full team with like 4 different elements is going to be kind of hard, so at least aim for like 2 or 3 different elements and you're gonna be good. So a team example, I don't know, again, as I said, any team who needs like an anemo just for the Viridescent and the swirls and stuff like that. So for example, I would say an Ayaka team. Let's say you have Ayaka, Shinha, and then Kokomi, and then Lynette. She's just the anemo on the team. That's it. That's for support Lynette. For a main DPS Lynette for anemo damage, you probably just want to play her with like Farazan. So you can go like Lynette, Farazan, and then 2 flexes. Doesn't really matter. Maybe you just get 2 different elements. So let's say, Jean-Li, Bennett, Yellen, anyone like that. The core of the team is just Lynette and Farazan and then 2 flexes. Now, obviously, she's not really going to be a great DPS, guys. She's a 4-star and she's also not meant to be a DPS. So you only want to do this team if you really like her and want to play her like on field. Other than that, it's definitely not really recommended. She's more of a support character and you just want to build her for support, either for reactions and stuff like that, and then use her as a supportive anemo. But yeah, with that being said, that was the guide, guys. Again, please don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and see y'all in the next video. Peace.